Hey everybody, welcome to Wheeljack's Workshop. I'm the Rusty Mechanic, and we're back inside the maintenance terminal again today. Bit of an interesting one today. I have ToyWorld C04 Allocator here, aka Hook. And I have this version here, which is the this is the X version, so the brighter purple version. And on my copy, as you can see from the one that I'm holding here, it came in the box and it was missing the windshield off of the cab, which made me really sad. And unfortunately, ToyWorld's customer service, as we all know, is not fantastic, and it didn't matter how many times I tried to contact them. I got zero response from them, and unfortunately, I didn't really get a lot of response from the reseller that I bought it from either. So I had to go out and find myself a second copy, which I finally managed to do a few weeks ago. And as you can see, it has the glass in the cab. So we're doing a simple transplant here today. We're going to take the cab off of this guy and we're going to put it onto that guy, and we're going to call it a day. I can't just use the new one that I bought because it came from the V2 version, which has a slightly darker purple. I'll just do a side by side so you can see why I'm doing this. But as you can see, the two purples are not the same color, so I have to do a transplant. It's not that difficult, fairly simple. It's a lot of screws and a lot of moving parts around, but it is pretty simple. All you really need is your trusty flathead screwdriver, or sorry, Phillips head screwdriver, Phillips head number 1 from a precision screwdriver kit. You might also need a pair of needle nose pliers, only because on this particular copy that I got here, when I was trying to take the cab out, when we get into it, you'll see there's a peg and a hole, and the hole was actually really tight on the peg, like the mold wasn't sized properly. So I had to use the needle nose pliers to actually squeeze this part off the peg just to slide it off. Once I got it off, it was fine though. So anyway, let's get right into it. Let's take the guy that we are fixing and the guy we are breaking. First thing you have to do is you'll actually have to undo the arms. You have to do like a partial transformation. You have to get the arms out of the way. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get at the screws that are underneath the crane part here, and the cab's hooked up inside the crane. So I'll just go ahead and separate the arms, separate the wheels away from the side. Same thing on this side. Swing the arms out, and now we can see some of the screws that we need to get at. You'll need to rotate this around a bit because there are also screws that are underneath on this side, and then same thing over here on the other side. There's another screw right there, and essentially we're going to take this entire cab piece out from inside the cab. So take your Phillips head screwdriver and just start taking out screws. Again, handy if you've got one that is magnetic. It does just help you to get these screws out. Oddly enough, as I was going through this test process yesterday, you'll notice that these two screws are not the same. What is interesting when I got into the other guy over here is all the screws are this size, so they didn't stick with the same size screws as they were going through the different molds that they kept creating. And I don't even know how many molds that they're up to now. I mean, there's another reason why you want needle nose pliers sometimes, is sometimes these, even with a magnetic tip, it's trouble getting it out. So you want to take out those 3 screws there, then you just want to rotate the crane all the way around. There's 3 more on the other side. As you can see, that one again is smaller than the other ones. So it is just the 6 screws. And then get the crane out of the way. But this will literally almost fall apart. The top half of the crane will just lift away from the bottom half. So we'll put that off to the side here. So now we're just trying, again, this entire mechanism is what we're trying to get off. And as you can see from the underside, now that we have all 6 screws off, that this part is just sitting on this post here and this post here. As you can see, I kind of beat it up a bit when I was trying to get it off with the needle nose pliers. So it was stuck on there pretty good. I'll just show you what I did have to do. I did manage to get it up to about that far before it finally got stuck. So I just took the needle nose pliers and I put one tip underneath and the other one right on the peg and just gave it a squeeze, and that was enough to get it to pop. And then once I got it to pop, then I just wiggled it off just like that, right? So this is we'll take this entire piece and we'll swap it with the other one. If you really want to get adventurous and you only want this piece, you could take these 4 screws apart and you can separate this to get just the cab piece off. But I mean, you might as well just replace this whole part. Just one thing to note when you're doing this is actually it started to happen on this one. So once you got this half off, the crane will actually separate away from the cab. So there's a square peg on one side and then just a little sort of half circle on the other side, and this is part of the ratchet that's inside for the crane to get its position. So it does just fit into the spot there and there, but there's like a square shape here and a half rounded shape there that you just fit it back into. Doesn't really matter which way you press it in, as long as the square ends up being flat inside when you're done, and you can test it. We'll just put that off to the side. So we're going to do the exact same thing with the other guy. Again, going through the same process, we have to untransform the wheels and the arms. Want to be a little bit more gentle with this guy because I don't want to break this one, because this is the one that's going back onto my constructor. And of course it wants to be a pain. There we go. Alright, so we'll do the exact same thing, right? We're going to rotate this around. You can flip these exhaust parts out of the way as well, because they do sometimes get in the way. So on my X version, like I said, the screws are all the same size on this version, so we don't have to be as careful about mixing them up as we do with the other one. Although I did find, I think I might have actually mixed up the screws on the original version, and it didn't seem to matter anyway. So then we'll just rotate this around, we'll get at the rest. So same idea, once we've got those screws removed, then we're just going to lift the top half away from the bottom half, flip them over, and just again peg and peg. We're just going to slide the entire cab piece off of the peg. There we go. So we have the cab without the window. Stick it over there with the one that we're going to fix. And now this guy just goes right back into the same place. And we'll bring the body back in here. Oh, one other thing I wanted to point out, there's a part right here that's just loose. Like it's literally just sitting there. So just keep an eye on that when you take the cab apart, that it is back in that position before you put the cab on. I didn't notice on mine that it actually fell off or anything, but I noticed as I was working on it that, oh, hey, that's not really sitting in there at all. It's just sort of, or tabbed in, or screwed in, or pegged in. It's just literally sitting there loose. It's just a filler piece. And now we'll just go ahead and start putting all these guys back into place. Again, with these screws, you don't necessarily want to over tighten them, because metal screws into plastic, very easy to strip things. So as soon as you feel a little resistance, just give it a little more of about a quarter turn more, and that will be tight enough. There we go. And rotate it around to the other side, making sure that nothing's in the way, but of course there always is something in the way. Just like that. And then of course, just put everything back together in some form. May want to give the crane a check just to make sure that it's ratcheting properly and still sitting into place, because it will slide out as you're working on it. And there we go. And now I'll take him and I'll transform him later into his constructor mode. But there it is, pretty simple as that, right? So now I've got the cab on there with the windshield and everything's screwed in nicely. Crane is still working, so that's it, guys. Nice and simple one for today. Thanks a lot. I'm the Rusty Mechanic. Hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks a lot, guys. I hope you enjoyed these videos. Again, please keep me in mind when you are thinking about liking a video, and please subscribe to the channel. And again, if you continue liking these videos, you can support the channel at buymeacoffee.com, and you can check the links down below for information on how you can support the channel.